How are you all doing, people? Welcome back to the Sorare Sharps. We're in new waters here. We're over on the Swingman podcast channel. We're not over on Team Hold for once. So obviously I've got to ask, Mike, how are you doing?
I feel great that I'm not hosting right now, honestly. I'm gonna just fire off takes. I'm gonna make you do all the administrative work here.
Yep.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. And I mean, do you know what? Talking of admin work, before we dive into anything that we're going to talk about on Sorare today, drop a sub over to ourselves here at the Swingman Podcast and also Team Hold Sorare. I've just put the link to it in the live chat for it now. There'll also be a link to it in the description down below if you're watching this on playback. I think you're doing a big giveaway over on Twitter, aren't you, for 500 subs, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get up over 500. So I think we're at 455 or something like that right now. So about 45 more to go, and then we're gonna give away year 1 Kevin Durant and a year 2 Jalen Brunson, which, depending on how long it takes to get to 500, I'm like each day that passes, I save a few more bucks. So
yeah, there we go. I mean, the especially on that season 2 one, if you're buying that on a new market auction, oh geez, especially if you're getting the market credits coming through now.
That's right.
Yeah, you're gonna be rolling those dollars in. Reese, I'm not quite sure that's what the vibe is going to be on the Sharps channel. I think if you're looking for that kind of thing, that's maybe behind a paywall for you down the line. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, good to see you here as well. So I think on the topic of where we were going to go for this week's stream in terms of talking about Sorare and the stuff that we've got on, I think the thing that I wanted to mainly focus on was where you should be prioritizing sort of strategy, I guess is the overall word for it. Because I know yourself, you sold some of your, you sold your AD rare off, you sold off some of your gallery, and I know that was for going out to Vegas and a few other things. But when eventually you come back in and you buy your new set of cards and whatever, what's sort of your plan that you've currently got, and how do you see what other people you think should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just me personally, so this isn't necessarily a good blueprint. You can check by how many rewards I've won, specifically this season. So just before you decide to follow it, I think what I'm going to do, I am going to prioritize getting one of the bigger MVPs. And I'll probably start with limited because that's a little bit more in my price range to start. And I'm still going to be collecting. I think I'm still going to be fielding out a competitive rare contender tournament, even though those rewards maybe aren't up to where we would like them to be at this point. But I think I still want to dabble in the rare streets. I just don't think I have the bankroll to be able to consistently compete in some of those competitive champions tournaments. So I think I'm going to try to start building some strong limited champion and then build my way up a little bit. So whether it's Jokic, Embiid, honestly, it might be Embiid because I haven't checked the prices in the last week or so, but Embiid is putting up the best numbers out there. And I feel like he's the cheaper of the Luka, Giannis, is all of that crew, unless it's corrected. But anyways, I think that's where I'm going to put my focus, getting a real MVP and then building it out from there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's ultimately what I kind of did with limited this year. So I kind of played limited and rare mainly just contender last year. That was why I was trying, because I was like, I'm not going to go and spend $1,500 on a Nikola Jokic rare card.
Right.
I'm just not doing that. I'd rather try and pick up the shrewd moves here and there and occasionally win once every 2 game weeks or 3 game weeks and try and do it like that. On the limited side, I mean, because of how cheap some of the cards were towards the start of the season, a few weeks in, I was like, it's almost a no-brainer for me in that sense to kind of pick up that Luka that I have at the start of the year. I'll build all of his XP up that come the third year now, we should say. I'll have a new Luka. Well, I'll have a Luka with a 5% bonus on it and leveled up and can use it from there. I think ultimately that's the progression that you should be. I don't think you should immediately come in and think, yeah, I'm going to buy Giannis, Luka, AD and go for it like that. I think it's a progression thing that you work your way up from. I'll also agree with you on the contender stuff. I mean, I almost feel like contender is the most... It's where I find the most challenging and also rewarding aspect.
Yeah.
It's not like underdog where it's really difficult. You have to nail it bang on and get the 5 guys that have all got the lowest L10s that smash that week. But contender, there's a little bit of wiggle room. You can have guys that are 30 odd that no one really thinks are going to be massive plays, and they can go and hit a 60 like a Kuzma or something. So contenders, where I feel at the minute, is really good for rare, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more last year, where it felt like, even though you were winning some tier 5s, where it's like, oh, congrats on your Vernon carry or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think I do understand some of the frustration where it's like, man, I put up 220 and still didn't get anything. But I agree with you. I think that's the most fun tournament to play in. And honestly, up until I remember TST having this realization before I did, and I thought it was really smart. I was like, oh, I don't have the bankroll to compete in the champion, so I'm just going to focus on the contender. But after like not 6, let's say like 3 months of playing contenders, you've probably bought enough stuff on the marketplace trying to, because caps are constantly moving, that you probably could have an MVP. So I think that like the contender, I agree, is like the more challenging and the more rewarding. There's this whole IKB, I know better energy of you're like, well, this guy is only going to cap and hit 40 this week. And I think that to me is what is enticing about the game in general.
100%. And I think as well, now this is the issue where I go on from this, is because and I've actually Gnome's been speaking to me. He slid in the DMs, Gnome. I don't know if you're watching.
There you go.
Gnome, say hi. But we was talking about Super Rare, and I've been flirting with the idea of jumping into Super Rare on the NBA side, because right now some of the cards that are of that contender ilk are really sort of attractive price wise. But even then, if I go out and buy 5 Super Rare cards that fit the cap for that game week, I've probably got, depending on how much sort of give I allow myself, I've probably got 2, maybe 3 game weeks with those 5 before I then need to go and buy another one, and then another one, and then another one. And I have to win essentially in that first few weeks.
Right.
And it's not out the realm impossible, but I mean, if I was going to take a look at it right now, let's roll it up. Let's roll it up. If I go and if this is going to work, it should work. I go to this and then go to this, and bam, like fluid that was.
Smooth.
If I go to all of this here, we're talking Super Rare contender, we're talking top 13, and there's 213 people in there. And it's just like, if you didn't have a James Harden this week in there, you've just not won, pretty much.
Right.
Is what we're saying here. So you need to smash it bang on. And this is the issue I've got, is that if you dive into Super Rare, you can't just put your toe in it like with Rare. You have to go the full Monty. And it just seems that there is something missing, where there should be a link between the two. And I've said this before, where there should be a small competition that if you've only got like 7 or less Super Rare cards, you can only enter. So it stops the whales entering it, but it also allows people that want to make that step up to play in a competition and use some rares and use some Super Rares. And even if they do it behind the wall, where they're like, you have to have 1 2023, 24 season Super Rare card, that could be something that we could look at. But
can I ask you, because I dabbled with the Premier League a little bit last year, and by that I mean I did the common, and then I think I bought somebody named Lewis Dunk, because
Brighton stalwart is Lewis Dunk. There we go.
Yeah, and I was just like, if I'm gonna get one auction, it's got to be a guy that's basketball related. So we got Dunk. But what I did love that it was like, okay, if I own less than 5 or whatever, I can play with like 4 commons and 1 limited, and then you can graduate to 4 limiteds and 1 common. And what is your take on like why that hasn't been rolled out yet?
So, to be honest, they had it and then they removed it, which is the even more strange thing, because I know that they probably would have done this on the basis of that they wanted to move people away from. I think in their heads, if they were like, if you're going to play 3 limiteds and 2 rares, you're going to play 5 rares, and that was it. And there's no sort of idea of that. Oh, people might not actually want to do that, and it's more enticing to do it in a different way. I know they also used to have a mode on the football side, and do you know what? We can actually just take a look. They used to have a mode on the football side where if you only had a certain amount of rare cards, you could play 4 limiteds and 1 rare, and they called it Kickoff. I'm not sure that's still even there. I know it is. So, and it's locked for me. So the idea behind this one, you had to have 4 limited cards and 1 rare, but you could only have it if you had 10 rare cards or less in your gallery. So I don't know why they don't, and to try and not to save the market prices, because
not
that's
at all
a topic for a whole other thing. I don't know why they don't try and implement something where you can use 4 rare cards and 1 super rare, and then that super rare has to be this year's super rare, for example. So then the auctions pick up again, and there's a little bit more sort of going around it. It just seems a little bit stale, is the word that I use.
And it's clearly not out of the realm of possibility, because they did it with the in-season tournament, right, where you could like mix and match a little bit. So I'm kind of curious why they would, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, I just can't think of any downside. I can't think of any downside because it's still encouraging people to play a little bit more. So yeah, I would like to see that. I think that would be, and again, because one of the things we talked about, like there's no like smooth progression, and this like gives you an opportunity to work through it. Because one thing I was going to say to you, to kind of go back to what you were talking about, dipping your toes in super rare, I think like one way to kind of approach that is, like slowly building it up, whereas, right, you could just make the stance this starting from this game week, right? Every reward I win from here on out is going to be pooled to go collect super rare cards, right? Because you're like, I got a pretty good rare gallery. Like, okay, unless you all of a sudden get a Tatum that you didn't have or something like that, right? But if you're getting these like tier 2 to tier 4 type cards, like, listen, I'm just going to sell this. Even if it's low ask, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to pull together some funds, and then I'm just going to start chipping away at a super rare gallery. Instead of it feeling like you're like, man, I can own, and you can target guys that you would normally target anyways, instead of being like, man, I hope Jeremy Sohan goes for 40 today because I'm not going to be able to use him next game week and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think so that method of the laddering up system, I think, worked a lot better last year, primarily because the scarcities on the cards were higher. So when you'd go in champion, there was not 30 rares that you could win. There was a lot more. So it meant that there was more chances for you to win a rare. And then if you've won that one rare, you win another, then maybe you look at buying the 3 cards. Sure. For this, in terms of rare right now, to jump up, there are literally 3 super rare cards in the entire game, and they're in rare champion. And to win in rare champion is like a needle in a haystack in any case. Yeah. So that progression is even harder. I don't know how their solution is for it because of, and obviously I know people are like, they've reduced, all they've done is made them the same as the football side. So people are like, why don't they just match football? It's because there isn't as many NBA, right. There's not as many football cards on the NBA side. It's literally as simple as that. So there has to be an ebb and flow for it, but there needs to be a tweak soon because it's stale on this side. And like, I even thought that potentially on these sort of rotating tournaments that they were going to be doing in the gap of wherever they're doing their next long format competition, I thought potentially this is where they might trial it out and have you can have 2 limiteds and 2 rares and then 1 common or something random like that. Like, I just want to see something new and fresh, because that's just where I am currently with it. I don't know about yourself, but
no, I feel similarly, and I wonder if they're going to use, like in the way that they use the in-season tournament, maybe they do it with the Christmas Day slate, or or the All-Star game weekend too. I know that's something we wanted to like project a little bit about, but I don't. That to me is such a one-off thing where it's like it's a 1-day 5-game slate, or it's the dunk contest, the rookie game, all that stuff, right? It's not really. It's not it feels more like a one-off than being something that's a part of the So Rare game, which is like building lineup for a game week. So I don't really know when I don't know what, I would love to know what's holding them back, I guess. Like, I'm sure there's a reason they're not doing it, because we're not the first people to be like, hey, it'd be a good idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, this goes back to the MLB side. I mean, I wasn't too heavily invested in that, but I normally see just people moaning about the MLB rollout on a few things. So maybe it is something to do with the sort of American licensing and the sports. They need more of like further due diligence done on them, and that's something really believable. But and I can't, it's like I can't sit there and think that they're just not doing anything in the office. They're going, this is, that meme where he just walks in with the pizza and everything's on fire. They're not doing that. They're obviously aware of the situation. So it's just a little bit of an interesting one. But the other thing we wanted to speak about is we will touch on the court report. I'll jump over to it now. It will be a very short segment, as they didn't even bother with a Medium post link for this one. It was that short that they could get away with it on Twitter's. I don't think there's a cap limit now, but they didn't even have to go for the extended show more feature. This one was sort of a no-brainer. This doesn't even need to be mentioned, I thought. They done the auto trading. It was a really good additional feature that they added that we've been asking for.
Definitely.
But now, obviously, it just doesn't take out the players that you've got listed, because then the system would crash. Market credits are in there as well as tier 5 rares in Rare Contender. I'm not mad at that. I'm really not. It's just another thing that you can win. And the NBA platform on So Rare is the best platform to win a tier 5 reward. Because in the NBA, a tier 5 can literally be the best play that week in a random game week down the line, once everyone's hit 65 games and they recall Kendrick Nunn in the league. Like, that's the example of what you can get in these sort of tier 5s. So I don't hate that at all. but it's a nothing update. That's the issue, and we haven't heard anything since. And I know I don't want to badger on that we need to hear from them every single week, and there must be something. But it's like, don't give us an update unless there's an actual update. I feel. And I think they shot. Was it you that said that you feel like they shot themselves in the foot by mentioning they're going to do it weekly?
Yeah. I think that's like when you're, and again, this is a double-edged sword, and there's no like right thing to do here, I think. But when people want transparency, and then you're like, you know what, fine, we'll give you transparency, then there puts pressure on you to put out something every week. And I'm not saying that this is what they're doing, but I've even been in this. I've done this before. I know I've done this, but like then you start like massaging the message a little bit more to be like, hey, this is all we got this week, but get ready 2 weeks from now. Like, oh, big things coming, eyeball emoji, rocket emoji. Like when you start doing that, then it doesn't happen, then the user base is like, oh man, you guys are you're just saying stuff. You're just pressing buttons. And again, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but the longer stuff like this happens, when you're like, okay, all right, thank you for the update, I guess.
So, I mean, I agree with all of that sort of stuff. Comment here from Alhor. On the basis of that, we haven't heard anything in terms of collections or club shop in months. We've heard about it. We haven't seen it yet, but we have certainly heard about it in the reports. I don't think at this point, and I said this a couple of weeks back, we're now on the 20th of December. We're not seeing it until New Year. Like, there's no way it comes out on like the 27th. People are not going to be in the office. They're not going to randomly drop this live for it to then occasionally break, and then you have to go and ring up big Nico Julia to come fix this. Like, this is not going to happen like that. So we're not going to see it for a little while longer again. The thing that did make me laugh was, and I love John for this, but I'm not sure they thought this through on the premise of it's like the brand new Ja Morant cards hit the market. Where are my collectors at? And it just made me laugh. I'm like, yeah, but your collectors can't really see the collection score on that card yet. So it's like, there's two of them out at the moment. I mean, lucky I've still got a Ja Morant card from last year, but yeah, I mean, it will come soon, and I think when it does come, I'm not mad at it in the sense of that there's still being issues with it on the football side, not the collection aspect, but the club shop on the football side still has a lot of teething issues. So I feel like if they'd have brought that onto the NBA platform with the sort of rhetoric that's currently going around and the vibe that the NBA's got, and it wasn't 100% great and amazing, then it just adds fuel to the fire. And I think that's maybe also why they haven't rushed it out. But at the same time, it has also been we're in late December of
I mean, like,
season, we still haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's the Christmas games are 5 days away, and like, what is today? Today's Wednesday, and so I don't know. Maybe when is Christmas? What's 5 days from now? I'm sorry. Okay, so Christmas is Monday. You assume people aren't working Saturday, Sunday, like that announcement of what is coming for this game week, I imagine has to come out like in the next day or two, right?
Yeah, so I mean, this one dropped. So I can't remember if this is a shorter game week that they've done. I love that we filmed this at this time because I get the sun on you.
And you know what's so funny? I thought I had fixed it, and then I was telling you off air about my lighting issue that I'm having today. So we're just gonna be in the shadows, baby. We're just gonna be in the shadows.
There we go. Mike, up close and personal with Mike here on the Swingman, the Swingman Sorare Sharps version. There we go. I'm not sure if this game week was a sort of reduced one. And also, I've seen your comment, Shul. I haven't uploaded the game week video this week or did a stream. I was traveling for work. If you wanted to know why, you can also do that anytime by following myself on Twitter right there. There you go. But in any case, I'm not sure if this was a shortened game week for it, but it's the same game week that we've just had. It's the same Rare Veterans. I'm not mad. I'm still mad that Rare Veterans is only paying to top 15. That's bananas. But on the limited side, top 50, I'm fine with. They're okay rewards. They're not as cool as they were with the under 23s, where you won like a Banchero shirt and a Banchero basketball. But I also think that's probably because none of the ambassadors that they signed are over 30, I think. So they probably don't have anything to give away from them.
Great point. That's a great point.
Mean, $100 NBA gift card. Does that get you a jersey? How much is an NBA jersey on?
I feel like that can get you a jersey. I feel like that.
So, I mean,
maybe it's a Peyton Pritchard
jersey. A Peyton Pritchard. I mean, but again, like I feel that they're gonna have some cool stuff, surely, of just like even random things that they can give away on like NBA, like little bits and pieces of merch or like Christmas stuff. Like I kind of hope that there's like Christmas merch things that they're gonna give away on. If I see Deck the Halls and it's unique, super rare, rare, and limited again, and that's the competition, I'll be quite sad.
Yeah,
Because
you
it's
know,
the same as last year.
I'm again, my Top Shot brain's like coming in a little bit here, and I wonder if if basketball is just weird with it, because like I know in NFL All Day, their football product, that they do, like, they gave away jerseys left and right. Like, they did that all the time, like Discord giveaways. They just had a bunch of stuff like that. And maybe their agreement with the NFL is a little bit more loose, but like Top Shot would barely ever give away anything, whether it was league pass, jerseys, whatever. Because to me, like, that's a no-brainer. And even if the NBA isn't giving you these jerseys, like, just go buy some. You know, like, go buy some to give away, right? Or just like the store credit, the gift card, whatever. I don't know. I would hope. I hope we get some stuff.
I wasn't mad. Like, I saw people. I'm mad at Rare being top 15, but I'm not mad at NBA gift cards being a thing to win.
No,
because if people are like, I don't want to win this card because he's $8, and then they give you an NBA gift card, like, what else? Or it's cash. What else do you want? Like, then it comes to a point of it. There isn't just feasible things that they can make up that can make that one person happy. So there's different parts to it. I did see this thing from Hershey as well. I wasn't massive into the Top Shot scene, and maybe I'm a late joiner, and I try and reboom the Top Shot market for it. But you were in the streets from early. Is there anything that Hershey's saying here that you could kind of feel that you're seeing? Would you say on your PTSD? Or
you know what's funny, man? I am seeing a lot of things repeat itself, and I don't mean like Sorare's doing stuff, just like the way the community is reacting and responding to stuff. I'm seeing some like similar things from Sorare. I've seen some of the similar communications, like what I was just saying about being like feeling the pressure to announce something every week and then not being able to really announce anything of substance. So then everyone's like, oh, are we just like saying words now? Is that what we're doing? And that is something that I'm seeing happening a little bit, but I don't think that, to me, it is two wildly and vastly different platforms that just happen to both live under the Web3 umbrella. Like, and I know some people approach it differently, and they're like, no, this is actually one of the best collectibles there are in all of collecting. And it's like, okay, fine. But to me, this is cool because it's a great fantasy game. And as long as the fantasy game continues to be better than other fantasy games, that's how it thrives, right? Like, that's why it's cool to me anyways. And so that in my opinion, that needs to be their focus. 100%. That needs to be their focus. I did want to, like, I don't know if we want to do it now or if we want to, but there was a Twitter thread that came out recently from
the Dark Horse one.
Yeah, the Dark Horse one. I don't know. And if you want to pull that up, yeah. And this is something to tie it to Top Shot. This right here, man, is like Top Shot 101. Where it's like, actually, if you think about it, it is our fault. The community sets the price points. And once we yell at each other, we yell at the game. So the only way to do it is to deep throat the game. And if we deep throat the game, the prices go up. And I think that is, and like, I don't know, Dark Horse, I'm sure he's a great dude. To me, this is like bonkers stuff. I think there is some truth in it, right? There is some truth in like, well, dude, if you keep undercutting people, like, yeah, that prices are going to go down. And I totally understand like that thought process, but it needs to go both sides. When Sorare does something that's dope, like the IST, I will be the first to line up and be like, hell yeah, you crushed it. But they also have to be able to be held accountable when things maybe aren't great. And I know you can't, like, the way Sorare works are the prices start very high, and then they go down. And that's how the game works. That's literally how the game works. And if you suck at the game, like me, you are just going to lose money. And that's okay. That's part of it. That's part of it.
I remember this being a thing though last year. It's just not to the same extent, but it's when people are like, why is my card price going down on this sort of Jaden Ivey card? And it's because the Pistons suck and he's got 20 games left in the regular season.
Right.
And then there's the playoffs. That's what happens. And then when the season starts to ramp back up again and there's no new cards being minted and people are like, oh, I kind of want to pick him up ready for the start of season 3 that's going to come out now, or the next one. That's when you see the market sort of bubble up and then it goes from there. I think the issue we'll have in season 3 is a bigger gap between the secondary market and the auctions. And that's the thing that could potentially worry me. And then you see, if you don't get a new wave of onboarding users, then there's like less people to buy the auctions, and then all that does is just kill the secondary market further, and so on and so on. And it's that vicious circle and spiral.
Yeah, and I agree. Like Dark Horse did say, like marketing is something that could fix this, and and then again reminds people that it's like, oh, it's in beta, so like they're not ready to market, and like that again, all of this might be true. But I think when you start creating narratives of, it's just like victim blaming almost, right? You start creating narratives where it's like, actually, why don't do me a favor and hold up a mirror, and then you will see who's responsible. And it's like, okay, you know, like yes, we should all. Oh, go ahead.
No, because this is the stuff that gets leveled at YNWA, because YNWA is very like hypercritical. He's very hyper positive or hypercritical. And for the start of the NBA, he's obviously been very hypercritical on it. But it's not because he doesn't like, it's not because he's just like shitting on it for any reason. The guy's going out and spending 100K on a Wemby. He still believes in the product. He just thinks that there's things that they're doing wrong that he's passionate about. That's literally it. So and he's more than entitled to, if he's going to drop 100K on a Wemby, voice his concerns, just as you are if you drop $100 on a Joel Embiid limited. That's the point of this whole aspect. Everyone's going to have different opinions on how it should change. Like my personal one is if the rewards suck and are hard to win in rare, no one wants to buy rare cards, and that's how it goes for me. That's how I see it. But someone else is going to see it differently.
Well, and I think like it's important, and I feel like we've been very good about this. I am not going to complain about prices. Like I'm just not gonna because that's something that I think is out of Sorare's control for the most part. That's out of my control. Like that's like a whole ecosystem that I probably understand like 12% of it, right? So that I can't stress out about that. But the stuff that we've done a good job, I think, to pat ourselves on the back of pointing out are like things that are within their control. Now we might not have all the information. So like there's always that caveat to it, but like we're not complaining like, oh, dude, I bought this Anthony Davis for $9 and now it's $5. It's broke. Game sucks. Fire everyone. Like we're not going to complain about that. But like you said, if the rewards aren't enticing, no one's going to play, right? In fantasy, like daily fantasy sports, if the prize pool was first place was 10K and then all of a sudden it was 4K, people are going to be like, oh, that's really weird. Like, well, maybe I won't play this tournament this time. I don't know. So I think that's important to focus criticism that way.
100%. Jamie, after playing an Ultimate Team on FIFA for the past 10 years, there's a lot of similarities and I can spot the market trends coming from a mile away. Yeah, but Jamie, these are NFTs. We own these stuff. That's the difference, you see, okay? There's the difference. You own these on the blockchain. Yeah, I think in terms of that whole side of things, I'm not going to moan about the pricing on it. I think obviously everyone wants card prices to be up, but that's just general human nature. Everyone wants the stuff that they win to take them to the moon, and then they buy a card for $5, and then in 3 weeks' time it's worth $50. It's just not how it works. There's not all the time for it. I guess it will suck if you're an earlier investor and then you're seeing your portfolio go down on it, and I don't have a drop to do a mental health or a financial advice, and none of this is that. But of course, like you know what you're at that time when you clicked buy on that card, you thought that price was okay. Like you're not doing it going, I know I'm going to lose loads of money doing this. That's not how it works. Like you was fine to pay the price for the card, so then you know that it's probably going to go down because it's not going to be a better play in a few weeks' time, but it might when it comes back around again. That's just kind of how you have to look at it. Is how I see it.
I agree with you.
I know we spoke about a little bit on the Christmas side of things and the competitions that we want to see Sorare do, and also on the All-Star stuff. I think as well, if we're talking about them, we should talk about the playoffs. And I know it seems an absolute mile away, but it will sneak up on us faster than we expect. What do you kind of, and I've put you on the spot there because we didn't mention playoffs when we spoke about this earlier. What would you kind of want to see from the playoffs? Do you want to just see like the IST thing, but shaped a little bit differently, or go completely left field?
No, that I like the IST format. I think that's fun. I also think, and I don't think they did this last year. I can't remember. I kind of like the idea of having to lock it for a playoff series. Did they do that? Okay. Like your lineup was for the entire first round, or was it just like one game week at a time?
So if my memory's right, I believe they done it where I think they got to a point where once a series was played out, it was done, but it was weekly. It wasn't bi-weekly, it was weekly. So that was the issue that I remember some people having. It was like the Suns would play one game, but the Celtics could have 4.
Right.
that was the issue with it, is what I remember.
Yeah, I kind of like that, where you have to be like, man, so if the Bucks sweep, does that mean I only get like 4 shots at Giannis? Where if like the Kings go 7, I get 7 shots at Fox and Sabonis. Like, I feel like that could be kind of fun if you had to lock it. But I really liked what they did with the IST. Again, I thought that was super fun. The prize pool has to be that too. Like, it has to be that level of excitement. It can't be
cash.
Yeah, it can't be merch. It's got to be, especially because we're coming at the end of the season. And I think, like, there is, of course, if you win a tier 1, you're like, yeah, that is sick. But it is weird to win something like that. And they're like, okay, cool. Do me a favor. Keep that in your collection gallery, and we'll see you in a couple months.
So I think the one thing that they did mention was that, like they done on the baseball side, if I try and pull these up as well, I think they're doing special edition cards this year for rewards.
Okay.
Because I think they're doing that for All-Star Weekend as well. Because they did a whole thing on this on the Sorare MLB of having those special edition cards, and they will give you a boost in the collections. But I heard about this when they did their initial launch sort of 2-3 months ago on the Court Report. So I don't know what else they're doing for it since. Hey, Nico, how you doing? So I think as well, I'm not even mad at merch, but that could be like a supplemental thing as well, like an addition thing. It can't be
supplemental.
It has to be cash, I feel, at this rate.
I literally,
the IST was so good.
It was so good. The IST was so good. I stopped playing the playoff one. I stopped after the first game week when I was like, oh, dude, I can't do this hustle. I can't, and I listen, from everyone I've talked to, the merch is sick. TST loves his luggage.
I've got a lovely little Nike backpack there.
Yeah, no one's complaining about it. I heard the merch is great, but that, I'm telling you right now, no one is like, oh, time to break the bank. Let's get that merch.
Yeah. So I think this is what they're going to do, something similar on the NBA side to what they done on the MLB. But I think they only done this on the auctions. I'm not sure they gave these out as rewards, whereas I think the plan is to do that on the NBA. So they might change that again, but that I'm not mad at as well. If whoever wins the chip this year, and then there's a whole series of like action shots and these really cool cards that you can win if you win it as well, would be really cool. I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about is like if they do a long format competition on the NBA for the playoffs, and if you end up winning the thing, have like the $2,000 prize on the limited side, but then like some NBA So Rare champagne, and then like the ski goggles. Like something cool, like is also related on the NBA product, something like that. But that's how we can see for it. But I'm sure they're also not just solely working on Rivals. They are thinking about the playoffs because it was a big pain point last year.
Yeah, when Rivals, baby. Let's do that now. Let's pick a date. Let's try to, and then like closest to the pin wins. I don't know what we would bet on, but so I feel like
20th of December. We're 20th of December now. When's All-Star? All-Star's in...
It's like the second or third weekend in February, usually, I think. February 15th is Hershey. Or no, that might be just his date that he's guessing.
It's Feb. Yeah, he could be guessing as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to say... I feel like they're going to be... Because the Paris game is going to be an event, and they did an event for this on So Rare last year. When they have the international games, they try and do something for that. So the Paris game, I think, is the second week of Jan. Okay. So I'm going to guess...
Oh, they got to have it by then, yeah.
I'm going to guess the 9th of January. That's where I'm putting it right now.
I'm going to say they're going to make John, our friend John, work on New Year's Eve. And then right as the ball drops in New York, or maybe they probably do it midnight in Paris. Shout out Ethan Hawke. Maybe then they, right at midnight, they give it away. I'm not giving it away. They're like, Rivals is live, ringing in the new year.
So so is that where you're actually going to plant your? Is that where
no.
You're really going to die on the hill at the 1st of January. We're expecting a Rivals launch out.
No, are you? Well, so what did you? Oh, man, I got this fucking light. We're gonna move.
We're going into the shadow realm here.
There we go. What we do in the shadows. Great show. Yeah. All right. So wait, what was your official guess? January what?
I'm going to say the 9th of January.
Oh man. All right. Let's see. Let me pull up my calendar right now. That is, I don't want to do it like the Price is Right here. So
it
January 9th,
close now. I've said it, but
is a Tuesday. Okay, I'm going to say the 12th. I'm going to say it's on a Friday. They're going to do it on a Friday news dump. because it's also there's gonna be some bad news in there that we don't know, but they're gonna sneak it in there with the announcement of Rivals.
Oh, are you feeling we're getting the carrot and the stick? Is that what
Yeah.
it's going to be? Okay, right, brilliant. Here's the Rivals game you've been asking for it. Also, we're slashing rare rewards. I think that's how it's going to go.
Instead of winning credits, if you do so poorly, you have to give them $10.
I mean, that's another thing that's been. I mean, these are now like wild tinfoil hat theories that have been spoken in the football streets of like, why don't you open a pay to play league on Sorare? And then I'm like, I don't think they can do that because then it literally is like doing an underdog fantasy thing. So I'm pretty confident that's why they don't do these sort of things.
Fellas, it is pay to play. It is. You have to buy the cards.
It's a free to play fantasy game, Mike. It's a free to play fantasy game. I'll have you know that. So I think I've touched on quite a lot of the things that I wanted to talk about this week. Like we said when we started the show at the start of the season, we're not going to talk about things for things' sake. When stuff comes up, and by nature of Sorare and how it evolves, there always will be things to speak about. But is there anything in terms of we haven't touched on that is pressing and you wanted to?
Do you think Donovan Mitchell gets traded in the next couple of weeks?
He wasn't at shoot around today. You think he's taking a few meetings, a few calls? Is that what it's going?
So, well, I know every podcast talked about this yesterday, but he's not at shoot around for an illness. But the other thing that I saw, and I don't know if you saw this today, they're working on a buyout with Ricky Rubio, who is still in Cleveland, but he's not playing anymore as he's taking care of himself. He's got some mental health stuff. But I wonder if they are,
are we doing the meme? Are we going for the Brian Windhorse meme here? What a strange trade!
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? But I do wonder if they are doing a little consolidation, opening up some cap space, a roster spot. Because if they trade Donovan, I bet they're getting 2 or 3 guys back.
It's not, to be honest, it's not something I've paid much attention to because I've been away, but it does seem likely if people are going to be on the move. I mean, Zach LaVine's the one that's always been spoken about for the past few weeks, but Donovan Mitchell would be right up there as one of the hot ticketed aspects that you're going to grab for. I don't know. I always thought he'd end up at the Knicks, but it's not going to happen. I always think he's been twerking for the Knicks for a long time, and then it didn't happen. But that's one of them things for it. Do you think he's being traded, and where do you think he's going?
I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and I hadn't really considered the Brooklyn Nets, but that was the destination he was talking about. Trying to, since they don't have their own draft picks for the next couple of years, there's no reason for them to bottom out, and maybe you move like Cam Johnson, some other picks that they have, and load up Cam Johnson. It'd probably take another salary too, but to get Donovan there and team him up with Mikal Bridges and Nick Claxton or something like that, I thought that was pretty interesting. And then of course, the Heat are always going to be mentioned anytime we do any sort of trade. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he actually goes. I feel like Cleveland, they're pulling the plug too soon. But
it would be a weird. It would be a really short tenure because I know it's not gone the way in which you probably would have imagined it would for Mitchell and for Donovan in terms of being in Cleveland, but it would feel like it's too. He's not going to do he's not a James Harden where he's just going to quit seriously, gain 4 stone and never play. Like he's not going to be that. But yeah, I don't know. I think Donovan Mitchell maybe hangs it out for another year, but it's not going to be his choice at the end of the day. It's what they're going to see fit. I'm trying to remember who it was now. I did see a clip of Jimmy Butler going and grabbing coffee with someone. And everyone was like, "Oh, he's on the move." I can't remember. It was him, Kyle Lowry, and someone else.
It was DeRozan. I think it was DeMar DeRozan. They were playing in Chicago. Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh, eyes emoji, trade alert."
I love it.
But no, trade season's always the best for this. I love these sort of rumors because half the times they get really stupid in terms of where they find connections for it.
Right.
And that's where we go from this. I love the fact that someone's going to have joined this stream right now and be like, "Where's DeRozan going? What does this have to do with Sorare? Is
Lakers
Sorare price going up?"
Yeah, you check his prices. No, I always enjoy that though. I love when NBA news impacts marketplace stuff. I always think that's so fun. So I'm here for it if it happens. I'm
trying to remember normally it's just injury stuff. It never really is big trade like moves, but I think I'm trying to remember when the last big trade would have affected a Sorare card's price, but I think we're going for a different route in terms of that one there. Before we get ourselves out of here, because I think we've been going on for 40 minutes now. This is a long Sorare Sharps. Do you want to let the people know where they can find? Then they'll know where you are. But if do you want to let them know where they can find you in any case?
Within
and also
the
channel
Team
and
Hold cinematic universe, yeah, you can find us at Team Hold Live on YouTube. Team Hold Live. There's also Team Hold So Rare for all of our So Rare stuff, and then Team Hold NBA. And all three of the Team Hold NBA, we do some like 5 to 7 minute, more not storytelling, but more basketball specific. So Rare, we have all of our So Rare stuff. And I'll just plug Value Hunting on So Rare will come out tomorrow, where we just look at guys with an L10 of 20 or less. Someone responded recently being like, dude, they're all values. The market's dead. And I'm like, that's not what we're doing. And then live before lock before every game week, Monday and Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So come check that out as well.
Hello, I just look at this, the Sengun video on I'm not even subbed on my own page.
Oh wow, dude, come on.
There you go. There you go. That's Sengun one's on 11K views.
The Sengun one and the Draymond Green one both kind of popped a little bit, and then we just did a top 5 guard ranking that we put out yesterday or 2 days ago, and that I like that one a lot too. That one's fun. I'm in the infancy stages of learning how to edit and put this stuff together, but I'm usually just a live stream bro. So it's been fun working through this.
Doing it in that sense for it. Anyway, for myself, if you're not subscribed over here and you're watching this live, what on earth are you doing? Hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs as quickly as possible. And also, if you're now watching this back on replay, I'm going to say the same thing. Hit the sub button, hit the like button. Drop us down some comments and stuff of what you'd want us to talk about on future Sorare Sharps videos. We're always open to sort of wild theories and conversations where we're going to lead ourselves down. And for myself, for Mike, that's going to do this there, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.